Speak to Robert Ndlela, the Secretary General of the Black Business Forum. Mr. Ndlela, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the agenda.
Good morning to you, Simpiwe, and the viewers at large.
What's your reaction to President Cyril Ramaphosa's address last night from a business perspective?
Well, this is quite a boost. This comes as a boost and as a big welcome to the small business at large. As you know, that for quite some time now, the business have been quite constrained, due to the number of people that can get into any establishment, be it a restaurant, be it, the places where people go and just relax, So, I mean, all in all, the new restrictions or regulations, they come as a very big boost to us as a small business. And obviously now, this cannot be enough. We are waiting for more measures that are going to be introduced, hopefully by respective or rather relevant ministers, as to now from here, how do we then use this opportunity to turn things around? How do we use this opportunity to reignite the business, to revive small businesses which have been dearly affected by the pandemic, but also recently by the looting that have just taken place mostly in KZN and Gauteng provinces?
Well, Mr. Ndlela, some business people, especially the small business community, say that the relaxation was a tiny drop in the ocean because, a case in point, the alcohol industry, alcohol sales will now be allowed from Monday to Friday. And some of these liquor outlets, the liquor merchants, saying that they make most money on weekends and still alcohol sales, off-site consumption is restricted on the weekends. So would this have any effect perhaps on the small business people?
Well, I think what needs to happen now, Simpiwe, we need to work with what is at our disposal. For a fact now that, we are able to trade on Friday. Friday is an additional day, So all the best that can be done is for the liquor traders to dispense alcohol from Monday to Friday. But what is still better is the fact that come Saturday and Sunday, people can still consume alcohol on site, which again, I believe we shall appreciate that. Over and above that, now there's one more hour, there's an additional hour. So let us see then, how do we work around that in terms of spinning things around? As much as we are concerned about economy as a whole, the livelihood, equally so as well, we shall be also considerate in terms of life. How do we contribute as business as well in terms of saving life? So I will say, as much as we are not entirely happy, let's see though, as business community, how do we build out of what is at already our disposal.
I've heard the president last night say that he had wide-ranging consultations with the different sectors, be it the labor movement, the faith-based organizations, and as well as the political movement. But did he consult with the Black Business Forum and, the Black business movement in particular with regards to, the easing of the lockdown restrictions? And if so, what was the extent of those consultations?
Well, Sibiwe, thanks for raising that question. I must say that our own government continues to miss an opportunity, to engage such key players in our economy, like us as the Black Business Federation and more other business organizations which operate at our level. Because we are saying for South Africa to unleash its full potential, you cannot only engage big business organizations and then say you have already consulted the business community as a whole. Why am I saying that, Simpiwe? Right now, before we even experienced, the looting and the chaos that erupted like a month ago here in South Africa, in KZN and Gauteng, already, as the country we're struggling through coronavirus and the wave of lockdowns. So now, if you look at it, the big business that our government, that the president and the respective premiers continue to consult and engage and regard as key stakeholders in a reviving economy, which is big business, the best they can do now is to save the existing jobs. But the fact of the matter is they cannot bring any new jobs into economy. On the other hand, they are missing an opportunity to work with us as the leaders of emerging a business community, because in our case, we still have a potential to create new jobs into the system. So all in all, Simpiwe, to be precise on the question, the president did not, or rather, let me say, once again, the president missed an opportunity to get more inputs in terms of resolving the challenges that continue facing our country. Because, Simpiwe, if the approach does not change, things will remain the same. Let's just face it. Our government have been working with big business for quite some time. But instead of us adding more jobs into our economy, we see more and more more and more people losing their jobs. If I may add, Simpiwe, let me tell you this. Right now, as BBF, we are consulting a whole range of business leaders at a community level and at other levels who are putting together what we call Entrepreneurship for Jobs initiative. What is the Entrepreneurship for Jobs initiative? It's an initiative whereby we are mobilizing all small businesses to say, guys, wherever you are, what sort of support do you need so that you can create at least 2, 3, 4, or 5 jobs, so that we are able as well to respond to the challenge that continue to face our society of joblessness. So all in all, Simpiwe, we are saying to President, together with his ministers, they must wake up, they must smell the coffee, they must make it their job to consult with small business, irrespective of who lead it. It might be led by people who do not have big names, but still, these are job creators. For instance, Simpiwe, the organization that I'm Secretary General to, the BBF, it employs nothing less than 10,000 people across South Africa. So we stand an opportunity as well to add even more jobs into our economy. So I say to the President, stand up together with your ministers, more especially those who serve in the economic cluster. They must make it their job to consult with us, to engage us. Here we are willing, we are ready to work with them. So we cannot forever, Simpiwe, extend our hand to say to our government, here we are, we want to work with you. But on the other hand, the government, still the solution only lies with big business, which is no longer the case.
Well, you just said, Mr. Ndlela, that the Black Business Forum has been consulting with big business to find a way forward. And I suppose then, Robert, this should be the approach then to be taken by the Black Business Forum. I mean, the Black Business Forum should be taking a proactive approach and take the initiative to engage the country's authorities, to engage President Cyril Ramaphosa, and not necessarily wait for him to engage with you. Because as you said, big business is the key stakeholders in the country's economy, but the small business as well are key stakeholders because they are sort of a feeder sector to the big business. And I mean, when you talk of small businesses, we talk of the informal sector, which is very key in the country's economy. We talk of the township economy, which is very, very key in the sector. And all these businesses are banking on you as the mother body to sort of, lead the way in terms of meaningful engagement with the country's authorities.
Simpiwe, let me rephrase my statement in so far as consulting with fellow business, players. I was not really referring to the big business. I was referring to the various players, majority of whom are small business, that we've been engaging with. Yeah. But having said that, put that aside and let's come back to deal with the issue at hand. Simpiwe, if I can say to you now, we've been sending a number of letters to the president and to some of his ministers, who intending to assist them to address quite a number of issues, quite a number of challenges. But unfortunately, seemingly our government is not making enough effort not to listen. For instance, if people come to you and say, here we are, they write to you, here we are, we represent over 10,000 businesses. This is the number of business that we represent. You can't then afford to miss that opportunity. But having said that, Simpiwe, we continue. Hence, I'm saying to you now, we are busy, consulting different stakeholders at our level and those whom are approachable to say what sort of contribution, what sort of a role they can play in terms of us successfully launching our initiative we call Entrepreneurship for Jobs initiative. Because we are saying through this initiative, we're going to be creating even more jobs. And you correctly so, as correctly so also, Sembiwe, as you were putting it, to say we represent the smaller businesses, be it in township, in rural areas, and all over. Those are the very same people that we are going to be working with, to create new opportunities, to start new businesses, to support the small existing but struggling businesses. So this is an opportunity that the broader government and other stakeholders have to participate and contribute towards turning things around. But having said that, I must say that our attitude as the BBF is that here we are keen to work with our government, we are keen to work with those whom are willing to work. For instance, I shall also be fair and balanced to say, talk about the government of KwaZulu-Natal. KZN government is one of, those stakeholders who see us as people who can contribute meaningfully in terms of turning things around, and we shall really appreciate them for the role they continue to play. So as a result, on a number of initiatives that we are putting together, KZN government will have a role that it's going to be playing. But as BBF, we are not just a KZN-based organization. We operate across 9 provinces. So we expect as well to work together with the national government. We also expect to work together with other provincial governments. And what is even better, Simpiwe, is that we are not self-centered as this organization. Our approach is the community-based business organizations at large shall come together. So in other words, as we engage, we're not going to only be looking at us as one organization. More and more other organizations across the country which are keen to work with us, they are more than welcome. As a result, in terms of our Entrepreneurship for Jobs initiative, already we've got organizations coming from almost all 9 provinces which are saying, BBF, we know your strength, we know your capacity, we want to work with you to move things around. So we are saying, still our government have that opportunity, but to be honest, we have to work together to address the challenges that continue to face our society.
Indeed, because the BBF cannot work in silos. The big business cannot work in silos. The government cannot work in silos. You just mentioned the community-based businesses, and I suppose informal business is perhaps the only business where the black majority take the route to, because those they do not have the means to start businesses and go through all the technical and the complex government bureaucracies. So in terms of just giving support and establishing that line of communication between the small businesses, those who've been severely affected by the looting, perhaps, first and foremost, looting in Gauteng and KZN, and those who haven't been able to recover from the effects of COVID-19. What's the level of cooperation and communication that you've established with those small businesses?
Well, I think right now we are at an advanced stage with them. We continue, providing different packages of support. I shall also appreciate different businesses which come forward, look at the initiatives we have, and they continue, providing support to those to those businesses which have been affected. So, but what we are doing also, as you were saying earlier on, Simpiwe, to say, among other challenges that are facing small businesses, maybe you can even go as far as saying the informal sector, is the fact that they are not coordinated. Sometimes they will have the issue of compliance. They face a whole range of challenges. So what we are doing as BBF, we are assisting them even in terms of compliance to say, how do then they comply, with just basic requirements, with basic statutory requirements, so that they are able as well to be assisted. For instance, sometimes we'll engage with a corporate, and they will say, we are willing to support maybe 20, 30 businesses, but provided that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is the role then, or rather, that is the gap then that we as BBF are now working to plug. That is one. But 2, we are now coming up with innovative ways, of making the local business work. What sort of that initiative that we're coming with as part of our Entrepreneurship for Jobs initiative? We're going to be assisting the informal businesses. Talk about the spaza shop sector. We're going to be coming up with a very progressive initiative and approach whereby all those who own these shops, one, how do we make sure that they access stock at a reasonable cost? By so doing, then we must look at the economies of scale. How do we take advantage of that? That is one. 2, the issue also of them being organized. issue of them, being able to produce a financial statement. Somebody might say, no, but that is not necessary for them. We have an approach in place. We've been partnered with a very reputable accounting firms, which are going to be assisting these businesses, to keep their records on a daily basis, so that come end of the month, they are able to produce their monthly financial reports. Come end of the year, they are also able to produce even audited financial statements. By so doing, Simpiwe, that will also assist our government to know where these small businesses are, and also it will be easy for them as well to know at least they do have the basics of any business. By so doing, then we hope to address this kind of a challenge, but that is not the only one. We have the whole range of other support mechanisms that we're going to be looking at, through which then we're going to be assisting smaller and emerging businesses across all 9 South African provinces. That is where we are at.
All right, Robert Ndlela, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, sir.
Robert Ndlela there is the Secretary General of the Black Business Forum, just sharing with us his reaction to the President's address last night.